Hello everyone and very warm welcome to the final round of the 2016 Formula Sim Racing Winter Series here at Palm Springs Road Course. It's a bit of an roval as our cameraman Justin said when he popped in. And it is indeed, we are driving the final sector of this track around an oval. The first two are mainly in the inner course, so to say, which you always see with those beautiful ovals. We just had the qualifying session. Unfortunately, the stream had a bit of a delay. In fact, it had quite a long delay. Justin, our cameraman, was unfortunately stuck in traffic. And then obviously you have those days where YouTube doesn't work with you anymore. And R Factor 2 doesn't work with you anymore. And basically you are not as blessed as you were before with the streaming. However, we are up right now. And usually the quality of Justin's streaming is quite good. So I hope you guys are able to enjoy that. Now you might be wondering what has happened so far. I'll quickly fill you in on that one because I made a sneaky picture of all the results. Well, you can guess who took pole position. Place your bets right now. I mean, it's in the championship. It's between Brzezinski and Simocic. But which of the two got pole position? It was indeed Kuba Brzezinski who punched in who set a very quick final lap time in the last minute of qualifying. He set a 101.489. He was quicker by Simocic, about 0.08 of a second. Simocic couldn't believe that. He said in the chat, "What? How did you do that?" But mainly Kuba gains a lot of time in the final sector. I was having a look at the top speeds before. Brzezinski is hitting about 330. Simocic is not able to achieve that at all. So that's probably where Kuba gains his time from in that final sector. Obviously, the final sector is the oval section. So if you have low top speed there, then you'll definitely be quicker by one or two tenths. Currently in the usual warm-up session though, 8 minutes to go as I'll fill you in on the further results of qualifying. Third was Mr. McQuire, Adam McQuire, of a 101.6, so about 2 tenths off Kuba Brzezinski. James Sadler, who was in fourth, he only set a 102.1, and I say only a 102.1, 6 tenths off Brzezinski by the way. I say only a 102.1 because he set a 101 in the practice session we had before. Fortunately for him, he couldn't show his true pace probably in qualifying. Don't know where that is down to, of course, because usually you would expect faster times in qualifying because of the rubber being built up. However, he wasn't able to deliver. Michi Hoyer in fifth, 102.3, so a further 3 tenths away from Sadler and about 9 tenths away from Kuba Brzezinski. Van Lokerenberg was in 6th, only 0.04 of a second down on Hoyer. Felix van Delft in 7th, Fabian Roof in 8th. Theodoros something in 9th. It's a really difficult last name. Aziro Glue. I should ask Paschalis Gergis how you pronounce that. And in 10th is Lorenzo, or was Lorenzo the Shutis, another interesting surname, so to say. So we've only got 10 drivers on the grid here today. We have indeed seen more before. But that's the way it is, and this may well be the last time, Kris, if I'm not correct, then correct me if I'm wrong, but this should be the last time I see you guys, or you guys are watching the stream before the actual official FSR season starts. So we're all obviously looking forward to that, but first of all we have this winter series coming up. I said it before, in a championship it's rather close between Kuba Brzezinski, the Polish driver, and Jeroen Simocic. Kuba Brzezinski having 99 points, Simocic having 90, so there's a 9-point deficit there. And I think Kris worked out a little bit beforehand what Simocic has to do in order to win the championship. Was it like Kuba or Kuba had to finish 8th or 9th and Simocic had to lead a lot of laps and whatnot, but we'll figure that out later how that works. But of course we're very sorry about the delay. Luckily though we are here long before the actual race starts. That is of course always good. Sometimes you have those days, you know, where it doesn't go your way. I remember last year in Brazil, the pro race, I think the server completely shut down in the middle of the race, and Kris de Jong was really surprised by that because he had never seen that before. I never saw that before either. I've been an ace commentator since the start of 2014, but I never really have seen a massive server fail where basically in the middle of the race server would just shut down. But sometimes it happens. It's sim racing, and a lot of technical equipment is involved in it. Like myself, for example, I had a black screen in Singapore last year in Pro where I couldn't see anything anymore, and the monitor just failed, and I crashed into the wall. Paschalis Gergis had that also around that time. So you are a bit dependent on what you have, and sometimes with all those technical devices and whatnot, it can fail. It can happen. Right, so 5 minutes to go in the warm-up session. We're finally on the way then, of course, with the stream. As we are this close to the actual official start of the season, I would like to hear from you guys if you have any questions. Just fire away if you have them. They can be about anything. I mean, the calendar recently got announced as well. If you all want to have a look at that, then please have a look into the description. Surely there will be some link to the FSR forums, and if not, you can just Google it, Formula SimRacing forum, and you'll find yourself on the forums. Make sure to also leave a like on the Facebook page. Also, the calendar is over there. And the first couple of teams are already starting to review their car. Some teams already have done so. One of them, for example, is Zero Sim Racing. Networks has revealed their car, so there's a lot of action going on obviously right now, just before the season is going to start. But as I said, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them below, and I'll try to answer them as best as I can. I think the first race, but you've got to help me a little bit, is it like the 13th of March? Not entirely sure anymore. I think it's about the 13th of March. Season opener is of course Melbourne, and yes, it is the 13th of March, that weekend. So there we go. But coming back to today and this race, I think that Kuba Brzezinski has got another really good shot at taking this one home. Of course, we all know Kuba Brzezinski as a really quick driver. I mean, there's no doubt about that, but he's got the top speed here as well, and despite having probably lower downforce than the rest of the field, he still got pole position by a little bit of a margin as well, considering it's in a roval where you can gain a lot of time, especially in the final sector, unless you have low downforce, which is exactly what he had. But it's going to be hard for Sim. It's because of that as well to overtake him. So Kuba Brzezinski looking very strong here today. That's for sure. We've got the first first questions already in. One of them is I don't know how seriously I should take that one. We'll start with the serious one though. Who do you think will win the FSR title this year? Ace, Pro, and WC. So that's a question coming in from Joseph Petrassi. That's a tough one, especially to answer for all three divisions. For WC though, there is one certain name which will certainly be the champion. That is not Kuba Brzezinski, I can tell you that. No, but on a serious note, let's start off with Pro. I mean, there are a lot of new names always, of course, in Formula Sim Racing. And that is the case for every single division, but especially for Pro. In Pro there are usually quite a lot of newcomers who want to get a tastes of the league, and they go in there. So sometimes you have new guys who are extremely quick and who can be quick enough to win the Pro title, for example. But if you look at the names which have been there and are going to participate in Pro, I don't know, for example, about Sander Callas. I think Sander Callas is going to drive in Ace this year for Netrex, but for example, Chris de Jong is now going to drive in Pro. I think Pro is really hard to say. I think Wengler isn't driving either. He could be, but I don't think he is. So Pro, I don't know. I'm gonna have to leave that behind, I think. What about Ace? I don't know whether Rens Klopp will drive there, for example. Rens Klopp was usually quite a strong factor last year in Ace, being teammate of Daniel Kiss. So once again, the official lineups aren't yet there, so it's hard to make a judgment because of that as well. Sander Callas is moving up to Ace. I consider him being a challenger for the title if he can really hook up the setup, hook up the feeling he has from the car. But it depends on so many variables as well that I don't like to make predictions at all. I'm not that type of guy. And WC, I think what we can say for all three divisions, it's is that it's going to be relatively close. That has been the case, well, throughout most seasons, of course. Although sometimes we had a guy named Bono Huis who dominate. But I think with this current mod we have, which we will talk about later, by the way, that's also quite an interesting subject. It's going to be interestingly close, and I think it's going to come down to, in WC at least, when a driver has a bad day, how much points can he still score? How much can the driver really get out of the car and maximize the performance of the car, even though things aren't going according to plan? Because let's be honest, in a season where you have 18 races, you have at least one race where things go according to plan. And how do you then maximize everything you have got, everything the car has got? I think that will be very dependable on who could be a WC champion. I think there are a lot of people in WC who could become champion. And so once again, I think it's really tough to pick a certain name and say, that's gonna be the guy. You know, you have Kuba Brzezinski, Daniel Kiss I think is moving in, David Greco is there for Networks as well. So many names, and it's really, really tough to say. So yeah, you cannot really give a proper answer to that question. Long answer, by the way, I know that. Quick question to Kris, are we going to start straight away, or do we have another practice start like we have seen before? I think we're just gonna start straight away. We've got a 10 car grid here at the moment, and it is indeed a real start, so to say.
So I'm right in time for the action.
Kris, it's you.
Yeah, finally, I had a little bit of a...
I thought you were the
bad
president,
day.
So I didn't notice you in TeamSpeak, man.
It's all okay. I'm here now, and I hear it's going to be a nice race at a nice track, with the tempers being high as well between Brzezinski and Simocic there.
Oh yeah, definitely. I saw in the practice already Simocic and Brzezinski and Sadler fighting over who could exit first out on track. So there's definitely some fighting spirit between these drivers. And also the fact that it's the final race of the Winter Series could throw up spicy things, such as battles where the fireworks suddenly comes out of. But we'll have to wait and see, of course. This is the rolling start, and we're all going to prepare us for that, as the safety car should be pulling in soon. So how are you doing, Kris?
A little bit of a bad day today, but for the rest I am okay, I suppose. Just looking forward to this race, and really looking forward to the battle that's hopefully going to unfold between Brzezinski and Simocic. But as we have seen in the last races, Simocic had a little bit of a trouble into keeping on to the tail of Brzezinski. Maybe it's the other way around this time, let's see.
Yeah, let's actually hope so. Kuba Brzezinski has got the higher top speed. We have seen that before in qualifying already, so maybe it will be tough for Simocic to overtake. But let's take it, with steps first, and let's see whether Simocic is actually able or capable of staying on the tail of that Polish driver. Right, then we're making us up for the final race of the season, and it's about to go on the way over here. 45 laps at Palm Springs Road Course. The B layout, by the way, in case you were wondering, and the safety car should be pulling in very, very soon. Kuba Brzezinski starting from the pole position. Next to him will be Jeroen Simocic. Behind them, Adam McQuire and James Sadler, Richie Hoyer on the third row alongside Van Longerenberg. Here comes the safety car in, and the race is going to unfold right about now. 45 laps, as I said before.
Take us through it.
Yes, we're about to get on the way. So here we go. Kuba Brzezinski getting on the power about now, and he does so brilliantly. He keeps in first, of course. Simocic on the inside, having a little look, and it goes all wrong in the back straight away. That is James Sadler, who has spun around. He's the only guy who has been spun around, though. The rest is safely through it. Kuba Brzezinski is still leading from Simocic. Van Longerenberg with a brilliant start. He moved up and is now into third place, so that's very nice for him. Damage limitation for Sadler, as he hasn't lost his front wing yet. He's got to start, of course, all the way at the back, though. We've seen a battle with Hoyer as well against Lorenzo. That is all safe and sound so far, though.
Yeah, relatively clean start. Unfortunately, Sadler has to postpone his high hopes for the race, so to speak. But yeah, at least Brzezinski and Simocic are well underway, and it seems that Brzezinski instantly has created a gap of half a second. But yeah, at least Simocic can still allow himself in the draft of Brzezinski on this nice oval section and get it going there.
Yeah, the Surtees is very, very close to the German. Mitchie Hoyer right on his tail as they go down the oval section, of course. In front of them, there's another battle. It's Adam McGuire attacking Van Longeren, he goes easily through. And behind that, is it Hoyer still ahead? Hoyer is still ahead indeed of Lorenzo, who locks up! There goes his front wing, and that's race not over for Lorenzo. He could go back to the pit lane, but has he got suspension damage? That's why I was wondering. I doubt he has got, so...
Meanwhile, in the cockpit of Mitchie Hoyer, Scheiße nochmal! Well, nothing he could do basically.
Was close. I think that Lorenzo was a bit surprised there by the amount of dirty air on the braking.
Well, still his fault.
Yeah, that's for sure. Was lucky that he didn't collide Mitchie Hoyer.
Going a little bit deep into the corner, that definitely cost him 2.5 tenths.
There's immediately a gap forming, of course, between Brzezinski and Simocic. Only one lap ago it was half a second. It's now definitely a lot more than that. So Brzezinski really opening up that gap to 1.5 seconds right now. Brzezinski absolutely flying at the moment.
Lost that turn one though, like full throttle, just a full left-hander, and then just braking into that corner. Really love that. Far from a Tilke track, it has to be said.
Hoyer being attacked by Theodoros. Ziroglu sweeps through around the outside. Very nice move from Theodoros. Up into 5th place. Hoyer drops another position. Lorenzo, of course, in the pit lane. Fabian and Roof must have made a mistake as well. So we're down into 10th place. Sadler is up into 8th at the moment. After that little spin in the first lap in the first corner. Simocic responding a little bit again. That's good, bringing the gap down to 1.2 seconds, but it's Brzezinski who's rather quick in that final sector. Again, he pulls away by about 2 tenths in the final sector just by putting the power down basically, because he has got the lower downforce. But Simocic took out about 2 tenths on the last lap. That is nice to see, putting some pressure on Polish driver who, well, frankly, hasn't been under a lot of pressure over the course of the winter series. So coming back a little bit to the questions, we have seen Peter Bell asking, what do you make of the calendar for 2016? Well, that's an interesting one. Yeah, it can be said. We see the returns of a few circuits. Kris de Jong, you know all about it, the old Hockenheim, but also Turkey, Istanbul Park. What do you make of it?
Well, personally, Turkey is my favorite Tilke circuit, but it's actually a really nice circuit in my opinion. And I think the older tracks are definitely a contribution to FSR. In my opinion, it's all relative, but the new Hockenheim has been fiddled with a little bit too much. And it's nice to see some classic tracks back again.
Yeah.
And I personally enjoyed racing in Turkey.
Yeah, I was about to say about Turkey. It's a fantastic track. It's very nice to see back on the calendar as well. It's actually one of the longest calendars we have seen in Formula Sim racing. It starts on the 13th of March as Kuba Brzezinski went a little bit deep, getting on some serious pressure now from Simocic. Coming back though, it starts on the 13th of March and I think it ends on the 27th of November, something like that. So it's a relatively long calendar, and also plenty of races on that calendar as Lorenzo goes well out of the way for the leaders of this race. Brzezinski on the inside right there, trying to prevent Simocic from getting a slipstream. Simocic is not really that eager to pick up the slipstream at all. There's been another question as well from Mr. Epic Fatality. What do you think of the upcoming in real life F1 in general? So, well, Kris, what do you think?
Am I really the guy to ask that?
Yeah,
well, I think it's basically the last year before Formula 1 really has RIP behind its name written, or at least sucks. I'm not a real fan of the closed cockpits. and I do think that the line they took after 2013 with the turbos being introduced in 2014 really sucks. I mean, sound, it's not just, you know, the sound, but it's also the feeling, and for me it has lost a little bit of emotion, Formula 1.
Yeah, there's not as much passion, so to say, in the cars. I agree on that, and obviously it's quite a...
Tell us what you think, by the way, as a spectator. What do you think about the new Formula 1? Should it be, you know, back to the V8s, or, you know?
Well, they try to overdo it with all the technology shit, in my opinion.
Yeah, and the boost maps and whatever, fuel saving. It feels a little bit like a mini Le Mans series.
Yeah, it's very artificial in some way, of course, with DRS as well being added, and there are so many factors right now a driver has to deal with other than racing itself, and that is for me what F1 is about. It's mostly about racing. But yeah, the cars, I'm not a big fan at all. It has lost a little bit of its passion. I believe it's lost its feel. But of course, you have the people who like it and the people who dislike it, and you always have them. But I think fact is that the majority of the people don't like the way the modern F1 is at the moment, and you can see that as well in the viewing figures. I watched, I think, very old, I think in the 80s or 90s it was, a race around Mexico. And I actually noticed a YouTube comment as well saying, look how many sponsors there are everywhere alongside the road. There were sponsors basically, and when you compared it to Mexico Grand Prix this year, there were barely any sponsors compared to the 80s and the 90s. So I think F1's popularity is definitely decreasing by the way they have went. But you know,
for the people in the suits, it's only the TV viewers that count, to be honest. But if you
that's true.
Hear that the owner of Spa has to make a payment of 40 million euros a year in order to hold the Grand Prix. I mean, I can't imagine a Grand Prix without Monza or Spa. Unfortunately, it seems like the future of Monza has been saved.
Yeah, but Monza has always been a little bit of a doubtful one, so to say, and also being changes made to the track, of course, again. Something done to the, I think the Curva Grande was it? There's a little bit of a chicane going to be added, or I don't even know what it all is about. But indeed, I agree with you. If Spa would disappear, or Monza, those are the tracks you cannot miss on the Formula 1 calendar.
Back to the racing though, Journey still hasn't lost Cuba out of his sight. A little bit hard to do with 1.420 of a gap, but at least he's still clinging on, and just maybe there might be an opportunity for him later on, or maybe Cuba misbrakes.
James Sadler putting pressure on Felix van Delft for 7th place. Of course, Sadler, who has to fight back right now, goes side by side across the finish line with Felix van Delft, who has a little bit higher top speed. Thanks to that, James Sadler can do a lot, as I see smoke in the distance. That is Theodoros, who went for a little bit of a journey outside of the road at the exit of the second corner. Sadler tries to get by Felix van Delft though, but can't do anything about it just yet. Felix van Delft defending so far pretty well from Sadler. So Sadler again coming up to the final sector of the track. He's really right on the gearbox as he makes a bit of a mistake. There goes Sadler's opportunity. I was about to say he's really close, maybe he can get a good run out of the hairpin and then attack him at the end of the third sector. However, making a mistake like that will throw away your chances. He's got to try it again. Simracing in the meantime, that gap between Kuba Brzezinski and Simracing is rather stable at the moment. It's the all time about 1.4 seconds and that's pretty much it. So those guys are relatively close to each other, but we don't see any kind of attacks from Simracing just yet. Let's hope that it's going to come though, because or how nice would it be if we saw a battle between these two drivers?
Yeah, definitely.
And Sadler right now went on the inside of Felix van Delft for the hairpin. There's been a little bit of a dive bomb, but probably Felix van Delft left the door wide open. We're gonna look at that in the replay. Indeed. Oh, that's a really nice move from Sadler there. But instantly he gets attacked again by Felix van Delft as they go side by side through the oval section. And again Felix van Delft takes him back. Sadler immediately looking again for that slipstream, trying to get by into the first corner. That's really tricky though. Two lines can come together there and you can have a bit of a collision. So James Sadler doesn't do a lot over here, but Felix goes a bit deep. Once again, Sadler's gonna try it and he goes for the inside here. Will be the outside line. Be rather impressive if he could pull that one off, and he does it. Fantastic move by James Sadler. That's a really nice move. Also because that corner is a bit cambered, and so the inside line is definitely the line you want to be on, of course. But you know, the camber adds a little bit of a dimension to that. So really nice move from Sadler there, moving himself up to P7 right now. Of course, we know that Sadler has got decent pace. It's a shame he got collected in the first corner, or he spun by himself.
Yeah,
I'm not
but
entirely
fortunately
sure anymore.
Michi recovered quite remarkably.
He did, yes. Warriors lapping in the 102s, mid 102s the whole time. Our leader is doing high 102s, so in fact Mitch is the quickest car on track right now at the moment. You see what I did there? But it's really nice for Mitchie. McQuire as well, don't count him out just yet, also doing mid 102s and also being quicker than our leader, so impressive from those guys.
And Cuba almost leading into lap 13, we're now in lap 12 and still Journey is with 1.4 seconds away from him.
And another attack from Sadler, by the way, on the inside of Theodoros. He's gonna do similar to what he did to... whoa. Impressive braking from Theodoros. I wanted to say he's gonna do the similar thing he did to Felix van Delft, but Theodoros braking extremely late, but making the corner very, very nicely. Will pick up a face full of slipstream right now, though, does James Sadler. He's gonna try to do it, as I heard reports that Felix van Delft also had a bit of an off. Sadler there on the inside. Should get the move done, I think, side by side across the start-finish line, but James Sadler is already even passed before they enter the first corner. So James Sadler up to 6th place right now, which is very nice for him. He's driving a solid race so far. Theodoros having a little bit of a look on the inside. Can't do anything about it though. Clean racing from Sadler and good overtaking. Although overtaking it is relatively easy with such a long third sector where it's flat out. Once you get into that slipstream, you really pick up a face full of slipstream, and it helps you massively with a high speed boost. Yeah, and Kris, we had a bit of a question coming in for you, and I would like to see you answer that question as well, because you have been announced for NetRax next season to drive in Pro.
Have I? Seriously?
Yes,
no.
You have. Indeed,
joking.
I know, man. We've had a question coming in from Peter Bell. He asks you, do you feel your mindset heading into the new season is better than it has been in previous seasons?
Well, at the moment my mindset is a little bit like trying to make an omelette and you end up with scrambled eggs, but that has nothing to do with racing. I have had a really bad day today. But in terms of the racing, I feel motivated and back as ever, like I was in 2013 when I was still fighting with Peter Briljak and Mohamed Patel. They moved on in terms of pace, I moved back. But I think I've shown for myself, that's the most important thing in Winter Series, that I can still do it. I can still surprise people and even myself with some overtaking maneuvers. And I think I will be a nice contribution to the grid next year. And obviously my hopes are to finally get a pole position and maybe win a race. And anyone who's participating next year with the Olympic mentality of I want to finish races maybe should quit right away. That's my opinion. But that's how I drove the past couple of years. So I'm really happy to be completely back in my de Jong shape.
Yeah, Kris, I'll come back to you straight away soon. But we've had the first retirement of the day. The name being Lorenzo Bisutis, however you pronounce it. It's really tough actually, with the double I. However, he has gone for a little bit of an off in the first corner and decided to quit after he obviously lost his front wing as well. Kris, coming back to you.
Is he Italian or Greek, by the way, Lorenzo?
I really don't know. That's a good question. If anyone knows that, then please let us know. Of course, you are back in Pro, in FSR, as a driver. how do you feel you are going to perform? So, what kind of goals do you have? Do you want to win a race, or do you take it
Yeah,
step
I don't
by
know.
step?
It's really tough to say. I expect the best for myself, and that's winning. But yeah, obviously the competitor field will be completely filled and strong with high motivations and high hopes. And I have to give it everything I've got, and hopefully I can say after the first couple of races that I won a race. But yeah, if it's not working, then I can only blame myself. At least the car is looking like a pure apparel beauty, so that's going to be awesome. It's really nice to have a Italian car designer named Ernesto De Angelis, you know, working 10 hours to create 2 cars, even though he has a very busy work schedule. But Italians always like class, you know. I mean, they always have a taste for that.
Talking about Italians, Lorenzo is actually Italian, so you probably pronounce it something like Ciutes.
The Ciutes,
Also, okay, that's
Lorenzo.
fine too. That's fine too. It's whatever you want, mate.
And I don't know why, but I have, you know, that hand where you put your, you know, the Italian gesture where you just, you know, swirl with your hand. I don't know.
Oh right, yeah, the Italian hand gesture.
Yeah. Sorry, Italians. I love you all, as you know, but yeah, except Bigazzi, I don't love him. But that's another story.
That's a terrible guy.
You don't have to love everything. Yeah, he's really quick as well. But that's something
problem,
for you
yes.
to find out next year in WC.
Exactly.
All the top names there. I can't wait.
Should be a really nice season indeed. Very close, I think, and I hope.
But what are your expectations? You already won races last year. First out of the lead ones, even. So you have all the experience you need.
I don't really want to have any expectations before the season itself. Maybe after 3 races, I think it's a bit more accurate to make any kind of goals or predictions you have. For now, I want to do the best I can in the first 3 races, maximize everything I can do, maximize everything the car can do, and then at the end of the race, I'll see where I end up. And if it's good, then hey, perfect. And if it's not good, then I have to work a little bit harder. But at this moment in time, I don't have a lot of goals yet, but they will definitely come as soon as I know my place a little bit after the first couple of rounds. But
I already see it in front of me. Like turn 1, you get overtaken, pushed off the track, and that other driver is here. That's your place there, right there. You better, you know, accept. I'm higher in the hierarchy.
Like a kid being,
like who?
Like a kid being sent into the corner of a room.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I am the last person who says you can't defend really hard, and I do think it's also okay to change your line 1.5 times, you know, like center back to the track a little bit. But yeah, you always have to leave room, plenty of room, at least enough room for other people to get past. So, but yeah, everyone makes mistakes once in a while.
Definitely. And Theodoros, good spot from our cameraman Justin Sutton, has pitted now twice in a row, so he's in the pit lane once again. What is he doing? Is he actually going for a stop? He is, so it's not anything like a drive-through, unless it is a 10-second stop go. Which it doesn't look like. Maybe it does. That's interesting. Don't know what's exactly going on with him. He's a lap down anyway. He has got a penalty, in fact. Even when he drove out of the pit lane, he still has got a penalty right now, I believe, looking at his steering wheel. So Theodoros definitely struggling a little bit with at least something.
Maybe Kris can remove it. I mean, he already served it, so should be fair.
Jumcic within the second of Kuba Brzezinski. That is very nice to see. Lap 19 of the race, opening up lap 20 right now. 1.1 seconds right now, but Simracing hasn't been this close in quite a while. You can see Simracing pushing all the way going over the curb, and a bit of oversteer in fact going into the left-hander. That's going to cost him a little bit of time, so he probably wanted to put up a bit of pressure on Brzezinski towards the end of the stint, see whether Brzezinski had the tires to defend from him, but by doing so, pushes a little bit too much perhaps, makes a bit of a mistake. And so the gap is again to 1.4, the value we have seen pretty much all race long between them. But at least Brzezinski is not walking away with it, and it's something we have seen before.
A little bit too often if you ask me. And a little bit too less if you ask Cuba.
Hoyer is staying himself around that 8-second mark behind Brzezinski in 4th place. Adam McQuire as well staying about the 5-second mark, so as he pits in fact. So talking about Adam McQuire, he's the first one today out of the top runners to pit.
Hard compound now.
He was 5.5 seconds behind before. See whether Kris de Jong is right in saying the hard compound. So he finds his pit box and he puts on, I think, the option. Yep. So this is going to be 25 laps for Adam McQuire. But he has got a penalty too, I believe. Judging by the steering wheel, Adam McQuire has got a penalty himself as well. So there has got to be something up with the, I think, with the pit limiter activation from some of these drivers. Maybe not entirely sure when to activate it. That's interesting. It's the second driver I see today having a penalty when he just got into the pit lane. But that penalty gets removed by our president, Christopher Cobb. So who's next out of those top runners to pit? Kuba Brzezinski, Simocic, Hoyer. When you don't count Hoyer out just yet, he has been around those 8 seconds the whole race pretty much after the first couple of laps. And he's quite well on pace compared to Kuba Brzezinski. And Simocic is struggling. Simocic could be the first one to pit out of those 3 guys. He's really struggling. Lots of mistakes by him, and I think the gap is going to come up to 2 seconds in fact. If Simocic isn't careful. It's Mitchie Hoyer who's going to pit in fact. Oh, and he messes up the pit entry a bit. Cooks it up a bit. He does activate the pit limit in time though, I think, but went a bit too much over the grass and then got back to the oval part. As Kuba Brzezinski is suddenly saying in the chat, unfair. I don't know what's he referring to. Unfair? Really weird there. Kuba Brzezinski is suddenly saying unfair. Whatever. Maybe I missed something. Mitchie Hoyer in 4th though. He pitted. Soft tires for him. He comes out in front of Adam McQuire. Did Mitchie pit? He did. McQuire just had a long pit stop or something. Huh? Really confused with what's going on right now. Mitchie Hoyer must have jumped Adam McQuire. But Mitchie Hoyer straight away is 10 seconds in front of Adam McQuire. While Hoyer was 3 seconds behind Adam McQuire before. Interesting what we are seeing here. And Simocic is 4 seconds down on Brzezinski in the meantime. Sadler, next guy to pit, by the way. Yeah, Simocic is struggling a lot. And Brzezinski immediately pulling away. 5.2 seconds right now is the gap. It was 1.4 before. Sadler in the pit lane then. Also switching of course to the option tire most likely. So those guys are all doing one stop and both stints will be on the soft compound. Simocic in the pit lane, there we go. So that's about time for Simocic. He was really struggling hard. But he gets into the pit lane right now at least. I still don't get what Kuba means by unfair. Okay, leave that behind, I guess. Here we go, Simultaneous finding his pit box. That's the car of Theodoros from Lorenzo, I should say, who we just parked in front of. Our president Christopher Cobb also having no idea what Kuba meant by unfair. But anyway, we'll leave that as I said. Felix van Delft in the pit lane as well. Mitchie Hoyer is right on the gearbox of Simocic. That is something which Kuba Brzezinski will be happy with, because those guys could maybe start battling. In fact, so that Kuba Brzezinski may be able to pull away a little bit. And remember as well that Simocic is in fact the challenger for Kuba Brzezinski in the championship standings. Although, having said that, it would be weird to see Simocic taking the championship, and that is not because I have not got any kind of respect for Simocic at all, but just because of the facts that Brzezinski is 9 points ahead of Simocic. Brzezinski in the pit lane though, leader is in the pit, and I presume when he exits the pit lane he will still be ahead in front of Jeroen Simocic, who is in the oval section right about now, and Kuba Brzezinski exits his pit box about now. Pit exit for him, and there we go. For Justin, basically Kuba Brzezinski has taken over the whole stream, because for every single car he spectates it says Kuba Brzezinski, so that is not right, I can tell you that one. What is right, however, is that Mitchie Hoyer is rather close on the back of Simocic. But what happened to Adam McQuire being so far back all of a sudden? That's an interesting one as well. So around this pit window we see a lot of weird things happening. Oh, Justin, I see it right now as well on the stream. Oh, you fixed it, okay. Justin managed to fix that. It's not like every single driver is now suddenly named Kuba Brzezinski, don't worry about it. That is not the case. Mitchie Hoyer though, lining himself up for a pulse on Simocic. The gap between Simocic and Brzezinski is still about 5 seconds. This could help Brzezinski a lot. If Simocic gets him over here, he's gonna try around the outside of the first corner. That could be really dangerous, but he is still on the outside. They go side by side into the next corner, as Simocic is parking his car on the apex there and saying no to Hoyer. You shall not pass. So Hoyer is gonna have to try again, but then for trying for Hoyer side by side into the first corner, that is harder than you probably think it is, excuse me. Those are usually two lines which collide together, because it is such a quick corner and you both want to go to the apex, because if you don't, you end up on the dirty part of the track and off you go sometimes. However, Hoyer's got to try it again. I said before, this is such a big help for Brzezinski. Be really happy with this. The gap between Brzezinski and Simocic, 5.3 seconds, which will be even more, because we know that Kuba's car is set up for a lower downforce setup, and so he will be quicker in the third sector as well. Hoyer, by the way, again on the back of Simocic, is within the slipstream, not too far back at the moment. I think he is indeed. 330 kilometers an hour for the German. There was a bit of an oversteering moment there on the entry of the left-hander. See, then you go on to the right-hander, which is a bit banked. As Van Loggerenberg just made a pass on Felix van Delft. Those two are actually in a really big scramble. Felix van Delft and Van Loggerenberg. Van Loggerenberg taking Felix van Delft back for P6. We'll have an eye out on, or keep an eye out on Hoyer as well. For now I'm gonna look at Felix van Delft and Van Loggerenberg. And Felix van Delft, of course, will have a shot in over here because of the slipstream. Felix van Delft all the way to the left, and he wants to go back. Wheel banging down the straight. And Felix van Delft decides to back out. This is probably the wise choice. And Van Loggerenberg went off. And there goes Felix van Delft through again. Hoyer in the meantime on the back of Simocic, down the straight as well, lap 29 of the race. Hoyer, is he going to try it around the outside again? Probably not. Yes, look on the inside, goes all over the curb. That is really dangerous, and Hoyer loses it. Is he going to collect Simocic? No, he doesn't. Simocic being wise there. Not really turning into the corner, because otherwise he could have been collected by Hoyer. Yeah. With those ovals, you know, there's a lot of space on the inside of corners, but I honestly doubt it's the right thing to go there. Very aggressive move from Hoyer, who got away with it. But I think if Hoyer looks back at it himself, he also thinks a little bit like, maybe that wasn't the smartest way to attack. Again though, Felix van Delft and Van Lagerberg, those... They are not finished yet. Lagerberg stays ahead though, for now. Wow, so Hoyer and Simulcic settled again a little bit. Hoyer must have taken a little bit of tire life out of his tires as well, as Felix van Delft is off now. In that battle between him and Van Lagerberg. Felix van Delft snapped. Under braking. That's... What the hell? Good morning, Felix van Delft. Completely misses his braking spot. Wow, that's interesting. It's a complete lack of concentration, which you don't see often when you are in such a heated battle. And Hoyer fell further back from Simulcic too, so that has settled a little bit. 9.5 seconds now. See, so Simulcic gained 4.5 seconds. Or sorry, Brzezinski gained 4.5 seconds in that battle between Simulcic and Hoyer. That's exactly the buffer Brzezinski needs. I mean, we have seen it in the Winter Series before. I said it last race too, but Brzezinski is not gonna throw that one away. He can manage that gap, 9.5 seconds, that's plenty for Kuba. He only has to do 15 more laps and he will be the champion in the Winter Series as Hoyer is off again. Hoyer in the second corner, goes drifting on the grass. Keeps it pointing the right way somehow as well. And so that has settled now, definitely. I mean, Simulcic will be about 5, 6, 7 seconds off the road. Well, they were in a battle before, of course. Now, I'm interested to see what Adam McQuire can do. He knows that the car ahead isn't in a very nice flow. Of course, as a driver, you keep an eye out on those gaps. And you see the gap to the car ahead becoming less every single lap. How does he go by attacking him? Of course, the gap between them is still 4 seconds, and of course, that is still quite a bit. But I want to see right now what Adam McQuire can do. Because I have the privilege to work with him, and he is a new name in FSR. And because he's a new name, I am now excited to see whether he is able to stably, consistently close that gap to Hoyer. 4.4 seconds is the gap between them. I'll keep an eye out on their lap times, keep an eye out on that gap, and see whether Adam McQuire could close possibly up to Hoyer. So it's a 10-second gap between Brzezinski and Simulcic, then a 35 seconds to Hoyer, then a 35 seconds to McQuire, and then it's James Sadler who is in a nice 5th spot. I mean, I said it straight away after the first corner, damage limitation for him, and that's indeed the case. Theodoros again being in the pit lane. Has he picked up a penalty this time? No, I don't think so. He goes again on the soft tire. Now Theodoros is one of those new names we have seen in the Winter Series. He did pick up, oh no, that was a blue flag. I thought it was a penalty, okay. Never mind. Theodoros is one of those names, a Greek guy, judging by the name, who was a new name in the Winter Series. Also, over the course of the Winter Series, Theodoros, of course, has been showing some pace here and there, but he lacks the consistency, in my opinion. That is something you can work on, though, definitely. As a driver, it is nice to at least have some kind of pace. Whether you are consistent but not have the raw pace, or whether you have the raw pace or being not consistent. I don't think that matters all too much, as long as you at least have a base, as long as you are at least good in something. And then of course not crashing or whatever, because that's what Pastor Maldonado has as a talent, but more as in what you can work on. Because if you have the raw pace, then you can work on being consistent. If you have the consistency, I think it's a bit harder to work on raw pace in some ways, because that is more or less a given, like a talent. You have it or you have it not. But I think you can even work on it. You know, with setup tweaks, you can you can work on it, but also just by doing a shitload of laps. I'm sorry with the way I say it, but that's the only description I can really give for it, because such a big part of FSR is practice, of course, and what you see in the races is something which drivers, teams, engineers have been working on for a lot of hours. Of course, it's the winter series, so don't really count it in for this series, but definitely count it in for the actual official season, you know, because there are so many hours being put in into races. For example, today I had a team meeting lasting for about... Felix off, by the way. Sorry to interrupt my own story, but Van Delft went over to the second corner. Good spot from the cameraman. He continues his way though. He's in front of Kuberzinski. Should get out of the way, and he does so nicely. We're also talking about though. See, that's always nice, you know, being in such being in such a big speech and then suddenly forgetting it. That's how exciting the speech was. No, but seriously, for example, today I had a team meeting lasting about 1.5 hours. I mean, it's what is it? It's today. It's the 21st of February. The season starts in 2, 3, 4 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, you know, and we have a team meeting lasting 1.5 hours. So there are so many things being put in terms of practice. 3 weeks, in fact, from is what I get from Justin. So once again, viewers, if you have any questions regarding the official season, which starts in 3 weeks, then please let me know. I'll try to answer them. I'm really looking forward to the actual season. If you haven't noticed yet, I would talk. I said it before. I would talk about the new modification we have got. Felix van Delft is off again. Oh, has a half spin, in fact. Okay. Well, he keeps pointing in the right direction at least. We've got a new modification, of course. We have been driving in R Factor 2 since the start of 2014 with the with a car based on the ISI 2012 Formula 1 spec car. That's a mouthful of words. Nevertheless, we have been driving with that for 2014 and a customized version of that car again in 2015. But we're now making the jump to the more modern spec Formula 1 cars, whether you like it or not. There has been a lot of debate whether we should move to the modern F1 cars. Some people like it, some people won't. That's always the way it is going to be. What I can tell you though is that there's basically right now, Kris, correct me if I'm wrong, but we are pretty much finalized in terms of physics on the new car. And you can download the new car, in fact, on the FSR forums if you want to try it yourself. It's currently in version 0.93b. This is out of my head, by the way. I could be saying all kind of shit and it's not right. But anyway, you can download it if you want it. I have to say there have been a lot of tweaks to the mod. Of course, it's a new mod, modern spec car. But I have to say, right now it feels pretty nice. Having said that, it does take some time to get used to. You are used to seeing seeing those V8 F1 cars fly by. I recently watched a video, in fact a live stream back of from a SimRacing, a broadcast back of last season. And this year we won't have those V8 sounds, we'll have a V6 sound, whether you like it or not, deal with it. I think though what is the most important thing is the racing. And I think that the racing could be incredibly entertaining to watch this year with the new mod, with the names being in the pocket, so to say, in the pot, in the World Championship in particular. It's gonna be exciting. I really hope that we've got a new division as well. We welcome the AMA division, which is I don't mean it with disrespect or anything, but it's just the way it is. It's like an amateur league. That is a bit harsh to say, so to say, but it's not, because it gives people who want to try FSR but who don't want to be within WC, Ace or Pro, but a little bit lower than that, it gives them the chance to still have a little bit of a taste for FSR, you know. And the EMA league, the competition, is not going to be driven with the V6 spec car, but that one has got a mod based on the GP2 car. That mod has been released last night. I have to say, if you do want to drive a V8 driven car, then you can still drive that GP2 one. I have to say it did look pretty nice. I haven't driven it myself yet, but why would you not give it a go? You can also download that from the FSR page, and while you're at it, you can like us as well on Facebook to keep up with the latest news. There's a question which has been coming in as well from Jimmy Bullard. Are you driving for money? And the simple answer to that is yes, but of course you want to hear more. By the way, Sadler is in 4th and McQuire in 5th, so McQuire, luckily Justin got that on the stream. McQuire had a previous lap, a lap of 110 and 112, so something went wrong for McQuire there. And I said it before, I was looking forward to him catching up to Hoyer perhaps, but that didn't really seem to happen. And so McQuire is in 5th, Sadler now in 4th, doing a perfect job at damage limitation. And McQuire is off. McQuire drifted in fact. Oh, and he's weaving. McQuire is pissed. Not happy with his driving style at all. When you weave like that sometimes, you know, it's anger being, or frustration coming out, excuse me. Frustration coming out. And it's not always right. Because sometimes it pisses you off even more. Sometimes it's nice, by the way, to have some fire within you when you drive. But not always. Sometimes it makes you more likely to make another mistake, and you'll get even more mad at it. Oh, fantastic question. Justin is asking us, do you think the AMA League is going to improve the driving standards for a league such as Pro? Because, you know, Pro has got, to be fair, a little bit of that reputation where some people are there who can crash. AMA could be seen as a kind of a step into Pro as well, a step into the world of which is called FSR, from a SimRacing. I think it could actually, because there are some people out there who don't have any kind of like league experience at all. They are just like, I want to start in Formula SimRacing and I'm going to start in the Pro division. It is very easy to say, but very tough to properly execute in a clean fashion. With AMA, you still have a little bit of a league where other drivers drive in. You have drivers in your surrounding, and you pick up experience. Even though it is a different car, you still pick up experience by racing against people who are similarly paced to you. You pick up racecraft, and of course you will make mistakes. Everyone does that in their first year, but you have to learn. You have to learn basically when you make a mistake, and make sure that you don't make the same mistake in the future. That's something AMA could be used for indeed, and therefore improve the driving standards in Pro. And McQuire's off. There we go. Into the barrier. That will be some suspension damage for him. He keeps on going though, rejoins the track. I'm surprised he didn't lose his front wing. But indeed there is some suspension damage for him. He has the wheel pointed a bit to the right. Coming back to the money question, I said of course there is a longer answer to be followed other than yes. And there is money involved indeed. There's a prize pot only available in the World Championship, so in Ace and Pro you don't get money. What you or at least you don't get money from the SimRacing. What you do sometimes see, which I don't think happens often by the way, but what you do sometimes see is when you are, for example, part of a team for quite a long while and you are racing in Pro or Ace, the team boss could say, you know, you have been driving so long for us, even though it's an Ace, I can give you a little bit of money if you want as a thank you for all your work. But in terms of FSR itself giving money as a prize pot, that only happens in WC. Now it used to be, I think, €2.50 per point. I think last season it was brought down to €2 per point. And there have been some debate as well to give drivers actually trophies for winning a race or something like that. The podium giving trophies. Not entirely sure on that. What I do know is that the WC drivers who are, so the WC driver who became champion will get a trophy. The constructors team will get a trophy, and the Ace champion I think gets a trophy. So we've got trophies as well, but money itself is only active in the WC in the World Championship. Then you get an extra bonus as well, I think, if you win the championship, all that kind of stuff. But we're coming to the closing stages of this race. Has to be said, in the middle of the race, quite action-packed. But after that, meh. Not a lot at all. We have seen Adam McQuire making a few mistakes here and there, dropped down to P5. Sadler, yeah, I have to say, didn't do a bad job at all today. I mean, I think he was 33 seconds down about 20 laps ago, is now 47. So yes, he has lost about 4 seconds to the leader. But hey, it's damage limitation for him, and I don't think he could have done a lot more than 4th place. Or in 3rd, we'll be happy with that. Having said that, he had the chance at 2nd, trying to get Simulcic, but yeah, we have seen a bit of a battle between Simulcic and Brzezinski in the first stint, but honestly, it dropped after that. Simulcic really struggled towards the final couple of laps of his stint, then he pitted, and we then saw, of course, he came back relatively close to Hoyer and had some pressure from Hoyer. So all in all, a pretty dull race, I think. At least it could have been a bit more exciting, so to say. Van Lokkerenberg has been lapped, Felix van Delft as well. Fabian Roof, quiet afternoon for him. And Theodoros has been lapped twice, in fact, but Brzezinski is on his final lap. And don't forget, Brzezinski will be picking up a championship over here in the Winter Series. The award for that, a free license for next year, so Brzezinski doesn't have to pay anything at all to drive in the WC next year. What a bastard that is, of course, a Polish guy always wanting to race for free. However, he is in the final sector and he will be picking up this championship. Then it's the Polish driver Kuba Brzezinski. Not a lot of, or not a big surprise over there. He has been sublime throughout the Winter Series, and I think this victory is very deserved. The championship is very deserved, and he'll be rather happy with that free license, and his team will be as well, I bet. Kuba Brzezinski crosses the line. 47 minutes and 50 seconds is the race time for him. He picks up this the championship, well deserved, as said before. Jeroen Simulcic will come home in 2nd, and he does a little bit of a nice drift going across the line, 10 seconds behind Brzezinski. So Simulcic, after he was released from Hoyer, so to say, was relatively close once again in pace compared to Brzezinski. I think Simulcic had the pace, but again, it were just external factors prevented Simulcic from really going for an attack, possibly in the later stage of the race. Mitchie Hoyer in 3rd, 28.9 seconds behind Kuba Brzezinski. And it's waiting for Sadler coming across the line. Adam McQuire coming across the line soon as well. Remember, he has got a little bit of suspension damage after the spin he has made. He was really slowly down the oval section. He's the last guy to finish as well, because all of the other guys have been lapped at least once. So Adam McQuire will be finishing off the 2016 Winter Series by crossing the line right now. And that's pretty much it. So 45 laps, Brzezinski 10 seconds in front of Simulcic, and Brzezinski then of course taking home that championship. Simulcic will be finishing 2nd in the championship and Hoyer 3rd. In fact, the top 3, the top 3, how it finished today is in fact how it ended as well in the championship standings. I think David Cook will be finished or classified 4th in the championship. Fabian Roof, I think 5th, and then Lucas Schmidt 7th, with Van Lokkerenberg in 6th. It's a bit of a puzzle, but something around there is close. And there we go. There we see it. Simulcic saying pit lane versus Simulcic 2-0 for the pit lane. So Simulcic had some troubles with the pit lane, and that explains the trouble he had and the loss of pace. Well, not really pace, but suddenly there was such a big gap between him and Brzezinski. But to be fair, while Simulcic was out on track in the final couple of laps of his first stint, it didn't look great at all. And he definitely had some issues with tire wear at least, or concentration. You never really know that, of course. So Adam McQuire saying it as well. I think I spun about 20 times in my second stint. But it's nice for Adam McQuire to at least have a taste of FSR before the actual season is going to start. I'm looking forward to what Adam McQuire can do, by the way, because I know that this guy has got the pace, and he's only, he recently started. There's plenty of potential within him, and as I said, I'm looking forward to see what he can do. I think that's pretty much it, though, for the Winter Series, the 2016 Winter Series. We are closing it off here at Palm Springs. Kuba Brzezinski taking home the World Championship. Or sorry, the championship, not the World Championship though. I hope I don't have to say that, by the way, next year. But he takes home the championship here, and I'm gonna close it off here as well. Next time you will hear from me is most likely during the start of the 2016 Ace Championship, and I'm really looking forward to that. I hope to see you at the weekend of the 13th of March, when we will see Ace, Pro, and WC as always on this channel. Until then, take care and have a great day. Goodbye.